Welcome everybody to the Pirate Skills Meetup, this time on August 5th about scoring leads like a pirate. As always, you can get all the resources at getpirateskills.com/lead scoring. The downloads, the videos, the slides, everything is there. And today we are going to tackle 4 topics and then have a Q&A. The first one is like how to save time and money with lead scoring. I never do anything that isn't useful, that is just fun because it's technically interesting. Yes, sometimes I do it for myself, but when it's a business, in a business context, it needs to have some benefits, and lead scoring definitely saves time and money. But then the question becomes like, okay, but how do we measure the quality of leads? Do we give points? Do we put them in categories? I'm going to show you my best practices that have worked for me so far. Then we talk about the handover from nurturing leads to actually doing active sales, so approaching people, and what you should consider before you actually start approaching a B2B lead or a high value B2C lead, and when you should just keep nurturing the people. That's what we talk about in that section. And then lead scoring in practice. Yeah, I'm going to just throw you into my own lead scoring system, an active campaign, and show you my rules that I use to give points and the automations I use to put them into sales pipelines. Yeah, and at the end, as always, we have the big Q&A. That sounds good? Then stick around. Let's talk about saving time and money with lead scoring. For a lot of us, these are the most critical components that we have in our business or resources. We either have more time or more money. Usually in the startup stage, pre-funding, we have more time and we can invest our time in order to get traffic, to close people, to build our product. But later our time becomes more scarce and scarce and scarce, and we have more money than time. And then we can put money into advertising, we can hire people, all that kind of stuff. And I want to show you how lead scoring does that for you. And I've got a little scenario for you in mind and a case study prepared. Let's imagine we are all in a sales competition. We get a list of 100 leads. And the goal is to generate as much revenue as possible within a couple of weeks. Yeah, it doesn't need to be too precise. So you have this list of more leads than you could ever handle in the given time. How would you go about it? How would you approach it? Let's make it a bit more concrete. Let's say you are in a business like Monday Rocks, who have been the primary case study for the past 4 meetups. So if you want to go back and see the original growth strategy and how that developed, you should start with building a solid growth strategy meetup video. So what are they? They are an app for successful teamwork, for team building, for team leaders and HR managers. And they are a high-ticket B2B case, but also with the software attached to it. They have an app called Team Analytics, which goes from up to from 400 euro and above. They have very high customer lifetime value. They are targeting HR people and team leaders, and they want to become stronger in their inbound game. And I guess that is what most of you are here for as well. You have a business, maybe a high value B2C or a B2B business, and you want to see what can I do in order to really focus on the right people. Yeah. And now in this case, we get this list of 100 leads in our sales competition. Now the question becomes, are you just going to contact everybody in the list from A to Z? Is that your thing? Don't you want to think about like maybe a system on how to prioritize them? I guess that's the obvious thing to do, to really sort them first and decide what is the biggest opportunity and start attacking the most promising leads first. Yes, maybe you want to do a couple of warm-up leads in the beginning, which you just want to do to train and to not burn anybody. But then very quickly you want to start with the most promising leads first. But how do you know what the most promising leads are? That is what we discuss with lead scoring. And this is like, just imagine you could give everybody a number between like 0 and 100, and 100 is an extremely high conversion probability, and 0 is no chance in hell. Yeah, so the 87 lead that we see here on the screen, that is already an extremely high potential lead that you definitely want to put some effort into. It's simply lead scoring as a way to prioritize the list of leads that you already have. For example, here with Pirate Skills, usually more than 100 people register for an event. And of course, I'm looking at the list of people who registered, and I'm thinking like, oh, who would be a good match? And there are some people where I say, okay, they're just here, they're on their own track to building their startup, they're very early stage, it's fine, let them just take up and let this be a community effort. But then there are funded startups or corporate innovation labs that want to learn this, that actually are looking for a relationship, and I'm going to focus on that. So, but how do I put real numbers to it? How do I make a system out of it? That's what today is about. So in lead scoring, you usually have like levels of leads. You decide what your levels of leads are, but these are very prototypical ones. So let's stick with this imaginary scale from 0 to 100. Remember, people can easily go beyond 100 and below 0 if you also deduct points for wrong behavior. But let's just keep it simple. Think about 0 is really bad and 100 is just awesome. If you get a list somewhere from the interwebs, or you get your 100 people list in the sales competition, they are just prospects. They maybe get 10 points because they are on the list. Somebody who created that list thought about it, but you don't have much more information about them. So you start interacting with that list, maybe send them emails, maybe advertise towards them, maybe call them. So at some point, you will consider them to be a serious lead. They are engaged, they react, they don't hang up when you call, they're interested. And at some point you will say, oh, they engaged, and they also made a request to have an appointment to get a sales demo. And this is when marketing would say, look, we got a marketing qualified lead. It's a so-called MQL. And we give this 75 points, and this is usually the handover to sales. Now, a salesperson looks at the lead, decides this is crap. Then it gets thrown out, it gets back into the nurturing system. Or the salesperson says, oh, this looks interesting. I think we have interesting previous relationships that we can build on and a nice warm introduction. Let's take this lead seriously. And now it's an SQL, it's in sales qualified leads. And there are always like differences in opinion between sales and marketing and what a good lead consists. Sales is usually bitching about marketing, just sending them bad leads, and marketing is bitching about sales not being able to close the leads. But this is old school thinking. We have to integrate those two functions in a very smooth way. We want to give sales as much information as possible from the previous marketing journey, and we want to give marketing the feedback from sales, which kind of leads have worked and which didn't. And this is where we can really get this nice and aligned. The benefits of lead scoring and what you should focus on is really to nurture the right leads at the right time, to not get in touch too early and not too late. It is an incredible tool to focus your time on the engaged leads and to stop wasting the time from your salespeople. Salespeople are very expensive. Yeah, you usually, here in Germany, I would expect to pay somebody at least upwards of 3,000 euros per month plus a commission to get a good sales guy. And you need to focus their time. If you just give them 1,000 leads to call in a week, it's not going to work. Just give them the ones that are most promising, preferably with a number beside it, like a lead score that tells them, dude, at least take a look at those specifically. Then leave them in peace and let them do and follow their own sales intuition. And at the end, of course, we want to maximize our revenue potential. We always have, if you do advertising, you get always a pretty constant number of leads into your system, but the time to go after those leads is limited. and you want to maximize your revenue potential by focusing on the people that you can really help. Yeah, it's a win-win situation for both sides. If you do something like lead scoring, it actually helps the people that you want to close, and it helps you to stay away from the people who are just not ready yet to be closed. So that's in a nutshell what lead scoring helps you to do. Yeah, it's the why I'm even talking about this. And in the next video, we want to talk about measuring the quality of those leads. What kinds of behavior and attributes of leads that now are in your CRM because they filled out a form, like how do we score them? Yeah, and that's what we are going to do next.